What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Burndown YouTube channel. So today we're going to be playing with some brushless fans. So I want to go over these real quick with you because you may or may not be familiar with them and the benefits of them and pretty much why they are the bee's knees. And you need to run to the junkyard right now and go get a set and put them on stuff and blow on things with them. Anyways, what you're looking at here are 12-inch Spal brushless fans. So you're wondering, who cares, right? What's the big deal with these versus, you know, something like your traditional fan that you have? Well, first and foremost, these things are monsters. These are only 12-inch fans. These are a compact size. I want to say these are around 400 watts a piece of power, and they go up from there. You can get a 14-inch, and then there's a 19-inch big dog that'll blow your damn house down. So these are actually a factory application. So you can see it's all molded into here, which is kind of a pain. And that is a trade-off because nothing is free. So these are out of a Chevy Volt. You see right here, sealed brushless on both of these. And then you can find these in a C7 Corvette in the 14-inch model at 600 watts. And then if you really need to blow the house down, you can do it's SS Camaro, I think it's 2016 and up. And there's other ones too. These are just the Chevy applications that I looked up. That is 800 watts or 850 watts at 19 inches. And that thing will bring the freaking house down. So the cool thing with brushless, and what you're wondering if, you know, what kind of makes it different, is it has the two feed wires, and then this is a signal wire. So this is either a positive or a drawback depending on how you look at it, right? So you feed it full-time juice, and then you pulse with the signal from your PCM to this. So factory computers can do it on the later model, and then the Holley will do a PCM signal. So what that allows it to do is start soft and it spins slow, so it doesn't pull a lot of amps off the initial kick, and then it will ramp all the way up to full steam ahead, and this thing will be blowing like a tornado. So you can see on here, little 12-inch fan, this is the motor size, and then you can see the wire gauge as where if I come over here and I show you, you know, this is a whole different ball game of wire size and then motor. You know, the motor's compact, it's in here, the blades on this thing. And don't get me wrong, these work beautiful. This is my Champion Cooling Systems radiator setup. Got these guys right here. They are on board. They sponsored the channel, they sponsor the Malibu, and I have one in the Twinnebago. Basically, they're on board with me. But they don't do a brushless setup, and right away when I got this thing, I asked him. And the reason I'm looking at a brushless setup, if you're wondering, is I make pretty good horsepower, and I have an air-to-air intercooler that sits in front of the radiator. It completely blocks pretty much the whole radiator, so I need more air volume pulling through the stack of all the crap in front of the radiator. In all honesty, if I didn't have that air-to-air in front of the radiator, those fans in that setup works pretty damn well, especially driving around here. On a normal application, Champion's going to cover you. It's nice tight packaging, it's fine. The problem I have is I'm pushing almost 800 horsepower at the tires, and then I'm driving up to 9,000 foot elevation because the people on Rocky Mountain Race Week like to make us go to crazy places. And never in my wildest dreams would I ever have thought that I would be taking my race car up to an elevation and a mountain road. Windy, twisty, turny, you know, you can imagine trying to drive up to an elevation like that. It's not a nice smooth highway jaunt, right? I mean, it's the back and forth zigzag, low speed. The air is thin because you're at elevation, and it was very hard on stuff, and I was very stressed out. So we're going to combat that with a ton of airflow. So these dogs should put out way more than I need. They should just run at a low speed when you're cruising, and then when things really get cooking, when it's hot and you're trying to climb the hill or whatever, they will ramp up and they will keep your vehicle cool. So the downside that I have is this is a little bigger than there. I can't just slap it on. I was really kind of hoping I could just kind of maybe trim some stuff up, slam some screws through it, mount this thing up and call it a day, but I can't. It's a little too large, and then we have this space here. I'm kind of hoping that I can offset, like you can kind of see these are offset, but hopefully offset one down far and kind of the corner, and this one kind of up to the corner or whatever, however we do that, to kind of give it the space and fill it up so it fits. It may hang over a little bit on the edge, but as long as it doesn't like get into this hose here or whatever, like I said, we can kind of fudge it, I'm hoping. But in order to do that, I have to cut it out of all this plastic, which is kind of a pain. Also, if you are wondering, you can get these brushless Spal fans from the aftermarket, where it's kind of a bolt-in normal deal like that, and you don't have to go all Rambo and cut things up and get things out of the junkyard and all that fun stuff. Whoa, look, I just cut myself. But the trade-off is this whole setup here was $125 from Apple Auto Dismantling in San Bernardino, California. So they had this, they pulled it out of the car. That's why they marked it all up with the green stuff. So that is dirt cheap for the technology and the power that you're getting in these things. And my boy went ahead and cut me a pigtail, so I got the wiring, the plug, and all the fun stuff to plug this thing in and get it wired into the boom, which is killer. You can look these up and see what they will run you aftermarket. It is not $125 for, not even close, for just one of these things. So I like to keep, I call it hot rodding, man. If you're reusing parts, you can go to the junkyard and you can pull something out of there that works extremely well and stick it in your hot rod and make it better and faster. You know, it's worth doing to me. And like a lot of you guys on there, I mean, I don't have a ton of time, but I pretty much have more time than money, let's be honest. And I would say most of you on here are in the same boat. So get your butt down to your local yard, call around your scrap yard place, and find these. And I looked them up on eBay. They want about 200 bucks on eBay. That's what I was expecting to kind of pay for this deal. And those guys beat it by like half. So I got in my car yesterday afternoon and drove right over there and picked these up. So I'm pretty excited. So the first thing we're gonna do today, very long-winded intro. I hope you learned a little something about brushless fans. The first thing we're gonna do today, because this is a junkyard part, is I'd like to test it before I cut them all to pieces. So I don't wanna go through all the effort to cut these all to pieces, Frankenstein it on there, get it in the boom, and then I don't have fans, especially when I'm putting fans in, because that means the motor is supposed to be running at that point. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a little science. For science, we're gonna play with the Twinnebago. And if you've been keeping current with the videos, I just put a water squirting system in the Twinnebago, and I actually have it all hooked up. And then I have a signal wire that runs all the way to the back, and then I have a battery down here in the coach. So I figured I could run some jumper leads out, I could steal that signal wire, and then we could basically just kind of Franken-wire these things up on the ground out here like cavemen, and then I could send a pulse signal just to see if they'll fire off. If I can just get them to move, that's all I'm concerned about. If they move, they will rock and roll. The one major downside to these though, because the controller is built into the motor, from what I understand, if the controller goes bad and they don't work, the whole fan is basically junk. So some of them, like some of the Euro cars and such, have external controllers, so the motor will basically live forever. It's like 30,000 hours or something life expectancy, and then the controller is what burns up. So if you wanted to get one like out of a Euro, I believe like anything from like BMWs and all those, I don't know, I looked at all the Chevy stuff because I'm a Chevy guy, but they have external controllers, so that's kind of a positive. The negative of that is you got a big ugly external controller, but let's be honest, we're going fast, we're not trying to look good, this ain't no car show. So let's figure out a little bit of wiring. I'll kind of dig into this harness here, see if we can get some wires out of that so we can kind of plug these in, and then we will Franken fix it to the old Bago. Okay, I spent a little time making a mess of this thing, and I wanted to bring it back kind of as far as I could and see what was what. So it looks like they may take both of the grounds, and then I think this may be my ground lug. I'll keep dissecting this, because if that is the ground lug, that's kind of cool. See if they took them both in a single. And then it's a red with the blue and red with the white stripe. They cruised along and they kept these separate. And then wherever he hacked this off, it was still separate. So I was wondering if they put it into one. I think for my application, at a certain point, we're gonna run both of these dogs together. We'll probably just come in and then go to a single larger wire, and we'll take that to the power source. But for now, I wanted to just unwind this. I'm gonna leave kind of as much wire. I'll leave a good sized pigtail here. And then the other interesting thing I wanted to see, my buddy was asking me about, is the signal wire. So it's a little white wire. It's hard to find, that guy. So they come out of here and here. Well, from the factory, this is a signal wire and that's a signal wire. They stick them together. So this is a factory connection, and then they run that out. I don't know if you can see it. So there's both of them. They run it out to a single signal. So both of these will be controlled off of a single signal, and then I want to power them together. And then I'll unwrap this. We'll see how we go with that, if this is the ground or not. I'll pull the rest of this junk off, and then I'll kind of set it up. I won't really bother you guys on, you know, that. We can kind of go over what I ended up doing to try to Frankenstein and get this to work. But let me finish up this. We'll cut it down, kind of clean it up, and then I'll bring you back. Ta-da! All right, here's the Burndown official scientific test bench. And yeah, we kind of got some action going on. So I've got jumper cables to the battery in the coach. I've got my little assisting box because this thing is pretty low. I've been having a hard time starting it. So we're gonna assist it with this because I just want to turn it on and I want to run the Bago. I just want to see if we can fire these things off. So my signal wire is actually going to the computer, the PCM in here, and then we'll power it off of obviously the battery, but through here. So let me go get my laptop, figure out how we're gonna do this, and let's do some science. I'm excited. Got my laptop hooked up. I was working on configuring this thing. I watched some YouTube videos because, you know, that's how I roll, obviously. And I wanted to double check that it was seeing a signal and everything because I got a little ahead of myself, got excited, and was punching stuff in to see if it worked. And then I'm over here, I can't get this thing to quite work. So I wanted to test the signal output to make sure I was on the right pan, the right wire, all that stuff. So I know I have power going to them. We can double check that, but I want to show you guys. I have this set up, and if I link it to the USB, if I change this to 0, the way I have it set up, it'll send a ground signal, and I have my ohm meter hooked up. So here, beeping out there. So if I change it to 100 again, it stops. 0, 100. So it's probably faint to hear, but I have the correct wire. I know that it's making it from the Bago out to the fans. So let me play with some of the settings, and then we'll see if we can't get those fans to spin. But I don't know, I think what I'll do is maybe cut it down to just one fan and the signal wire, see if we can do that, if we're having some sort of interference or who knows what. But I'm gonna keep after it. If we get this thing licked, I will definitely let you guys know. And then other than that, maybe the fans are bad. I don't know. It'd be weird, I guess, that they would both be bad, but I have no idea. I don't know if that thing was in a wreck or where that came from. They just gave me fans. I didn't get to see the car it came out of. So let me mess with it some more, and we'll bring you guys back if I can get this thing figured out. Ha! Ha ha! I got it. I got you, sucker. Look at that. All right, it was an oversight. So let me turn this thing off. We'll walk you guys through it. I'm excited. We nailed it, baby. All right, so let's show you guys how this thing gets kind of set up. I'll open a global file. I have it. This is just a test file for the Spal fan. So say you want to add this thing, you go to your I/O outputs, and you add it here. You'd be a PWM. You enable it, and you click configure, and then you want to have this output is active when coolant temperature sensor CTS is above 0. So that means it's live. And then you can configure the pulse width setup in here. You want to do fixed. The frequency is 100. I was talking to Happel back and forth. He said like a 128. I changed it to both this and a 128, and it works on this. It worked on 128, so I'll just leave it at 100. And then the table unit is duty cycle. And I have a RPM and coolant temperature sensor, so I would imagine you could probably do like speed would be kind of cool instead of just RPM. Because then you could base it, you know, if you have a vehicle sensor, like speed sensor, like in the Winnebago, I can tell if you're going X amount of miles an hour that the fans don't have to run so hard. But if you don't, like in the Boom, we're going to probably do like RPM and coolant temperature sensor. So at RPM, obviously I should hopefully be at speed. So now that that is in there, what you do is you fire your dog up. And the number one note, this thing is not going to work unless you have 12 volts. So we'll try it with it just turned on, but if the battery gets too low, I have to actually start the Bago. That was the issue I was having. So now with that on, I can go to my USB link, get from ECU. That's going to give me a little bubble that will pop up on what it's targeting, and then we can play with that cell, or those cells, to fire off the fans and test them out. So I'm just going to grab that whole group. It's looking at that one. So it's at 0. So if we punch in, I think it was, let's try 10%. And we'll see if it'll fire off. No. All right, let's try 15. And we're live with USB, so it'll change the value. Oh, there they are. So those cells right now, where it's looking, are running at 15% duty. So that we can kick this up. So you want to ramp it up to 40. Woo! So you want to go a little faster with the 70. Oh, stuff's getting hot. And then we put it back to 0 and turn it off. So they work. They ramp up and down. They soft start. You see where it clocks it to find where the motor is, and then it starts spinning it. And yeah, those things put out some juice. So that's kind of how we're going to configure it. Once I get it in the vehicle, I'll let you know for sure. Like I said, the Malibu will probably do it by RPM and then coolant temperature. And then like in the Bago, if we do these in the Bago, which we'll probably end up putting them in here, I can do it by speed. So that way, if it's like low speed, and then you can measure speed and coolant temp. So depending if you're getting airflow or not, how you're running the fan, and then coolant temp. So maybe we'll do one of those things, but we'll just see. We'll have to play with it a bit. I'm all new to this stuff, but that's how I got these to work. I got these for 120 bucks. I mean, these things are gonna be killer. So that is that. I'm gonna hack these things up and get to working on it, but I'm excited that they work. I'll bring you guys back when we kind of hack them up, and I'll show you how we installed them on my Champion Cooling Systems radiator, and then we'll get the thing put back in the boom after the motor and everything else is in there. But you guys know what to do. Thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments, questions, concerns. I'm out.